If you have been a long-time viewer of this particular channel, you would know that Jacob Zuma holds a special place in our heart, not because we love him, but because we think he is an important figure in South African politics. And now, unconfirmed reports are stating that his political party is standing at 9% of the national vote, 1% above the EFF. The implications for this country are extensive.
Yes, for those of you who are worrying that the DA will be unseated from his throne as the official opposition, with the EFF hot on their trails, which is obviously what lamestream media tells us because it suits them. Yeah, that's not really happening. In fact, it looks like the EFF are going from position 3 to position 4, with the actual third place, the third largest political party, being the MK movement. More interestingly, Electoral Commission has stated that Jacob Zuma's face can appear on the actual party itself, but he can't run for office. So you will see him promoting the actual party around places like KZN and nationally. His face will be on the poster, but he won't actually be running for office. Who actually runs the MK party for now, we don't know. But does it really matter when they're taking that many votes from the ANC? And our answer is no.
It doesn't matter in the slightest if Jacob Zuma even goes to parliament. Not in the slightest. But here's the interesting part. In KZN, he's polling at 24%. I was thinking 10% would be amazing. This guy is polling at 24% in KZN, just below the IFP and the ANC. He's basically neck and neck with everyone else in that party. And the repercussions, as we said before, are massive. Helen Ziller, if you're watching this video, private jet, straight to Ngandla, make a deal, take KZN away from ANC with IFP, MK, and DA running that province. You would do extremely well to do that. Number two, interestingly enough, he's eating at the ANC, but he's eating a lot more of the EFF. It looks like, for some reason, people are saying, you know, the EFF, they've been around for 10 years, maybe they're getting a bit stale. Jacob Zuma comes out with MK. Now everyone is diverting away to MK, which is interesting. Zuma did not go to the EFF because the EFF would now be at 20% easily. He started his own thing and he's eating the EFF for lunch.
You know, one of the interesting things is we've all seen the posters and the pictures and, you know, the publicity stunts of Julius sitting down with Zuma and, you know, having tea. But let us not forget that it was actually Julius's party in the first place that set themselves up in direct opposition to Jacob Zuma. They're the ones responsible for Jacob Zuma ultimately exiting parliament in a disgraced fashion. Yeah, you could say the DA had their part, but ultimately it was the bigger ruckus caused by the EFF. You can't tell me Jacob Zuma's forgotten that. So why in hell would he want to go join the EFF? I mean, let's not forget that when he left the ANC, he still maintained that he was part of the ANC. And his reasons for leaving was to basically reform the ANC from the outside. In other words, to get electoral change, he needed to create a party that had enough of a majority that it could force the ANC to adopt certain positions. That was the original thinking. Until Fikile and Balula got involved, and then he basically pissed off Zuma royally. So now, what you have is you have a very disgruntled Jacob Zuma who is going out full throttle, intent on taking every single vote that he can get off the ANC. And we consider that a good thing. More interestingly, though, Ramon, is that from what we can see, the IFP are not actually suffering from the MK party. In fact, as the IFP and the DA have decided to divide the voting areas and step aside, if you will, so that they have almost a non-compete, what we are seeing is the IFP are getting more votes in key electoral areas, and the ANC getting less votes thanks to the MK party. And what this may mean come the elections this year is that what we do see is a DA-IFP coalition for the KwaZulu-Natal area.
Which is very important, but what happens if you can have a multi-party charter, which already exists? What does a multi-party charter need? It needs 10% to become a majority. What happens, Byron, if MK is that 10% to run this entire country nationally? You don't have the ANC in power. You don't have the EFF in power. You've got the multi-party charter plus MK in power. Imagine the jostling around that particular national coalition. That could be, right now, the best bet that we have to get the ANC out of power. And all roads lead through Nkandla straight into Jacob Zuma. The only issue is, will Jacob Zuma make a pact with the Moonshot Pact? I don't know, but I certainly hope those negotiations are happening as we speak, because the future of South Africa hangs on Jacob Zuma.
Yet again, Jacob Zuma, and I know what will happen. We will get the Western Cape Karen in the comment section below saying to us,
yeah, but Zuma was responsible for that capture, and he's just an ANC guy anyway, so that's just awful. The DA better not side with him because they'll lose my vote.
You know the Western Cape Karen, Ramon. I know the Western Cape Karen too. Unfortunately, what they fail to understand is that in politics, it's all about power. And Jacob Zuma holds the key to the power of the country. He is the kingmaker, not Julius. And more interestingly, he can't actually run for office. So whilst he would be involved and he would have 10% of the vote to actually offer the multi-party coalition, very interestingly, he couldn't take an actual government position. And I'm not sure he'd want to. So all he'd really need is some of his policy positions protected and a little bit of, don't prosecute me, I'm 82, just let me die in peace. And you may actually get his 10%. And you know what? I'm not sure that this isn't something that the DA could compromise on. I think if there was a will, there possibly would be a way.
Absolutely. I mean, ironically, perhaps the weak point in all of this is actually saying the DA being Karens and saying that we don't stand for corruption and therefore not allowing Zuma into the fold. But ironically, allowing Zuma into the fold could really make the multi-party charter or Moonshot Pact, or whatever the hell you want to call it, can make it the de facto government of the day. You just need to get a 10% sliver at the top, then you get 51% of the vote, based on the current trends and current polls. So again, guys, this is sort of game-changing in South African politics. We expected the ANC to win the election or be close to it. This is a scenario where they lose badly. And it's all thanks to a disgruntled ANC member.